welcome to Truth or Politics. I'm your host, Darlene Price, and tonight we're going to do a special report on the ICE Minnesota shooting. Before we get started, though, as always, we want to thank all the people that make Truth or Politics happen. First off, I want to thank MBR TV, our television folks that keep us on television all the time. Thank you so much. And our hero, owner-operator, Steve Hall. And we want to thank people behind the scenes, Michael Mann, everybody else that makes Truth or Politics happen. And most of all, we want to thank you, our viewers, for watching us. Okay, let's get right to it. On January 7th, an Immigration and Customs Enforcement special agent shot and killed a woman during an immigration-related operation in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in which she did not appear to be the target of the immigration sweep, but she was there for other reasons, and we're not going to get into an argument about why she was there. Look, this is from local and federal officials. The shooting victim has been named as Renee Cole Good, 37 years old, a mother and a U.S. citizen. Okay, now, a lot of narratives are going back and forth to this, and people are saying, well, Darlene, why are you even covering this? A couple of reasons. First off, we've got a lot of new people tonight watching this, and they're probably wondering, well, why is she covering this? Several reasons. First off, for people who know me and watched these shows for 15 years, and happy anniversary to us, huh, Michael Mann? This is we have been on the air 15 years. Last month, actually, December was our 15-year mark. So happy anniversary to Truth or Politics. We've been on the air for 15 years, and no one's murdered me yet. Michael Mann's confident saying, can't believe nobody's murdered you yet. Okay, so back to serious business. All right, for those of you who don't know my background, training, or experience, there's an old saying, I literally wrote the book on it. I literally wrote the book, several books, a couple of books right here. One of them on my former agency, the United States Customs Service, and then my newest book, While No One's Watching. Both of these books entail stories of waste, fraud, abuse, and corruption within law enforcement. So, for those of you who are thinking, well, she's just some right-wing nut job that no matter what, she just backs the cops. When I go through this, for those who know me, you know that is a mistake. I'm very pro-law enforcement, but I am pro-professional law enforcement. I am for law enforcement that does their job professionally, honestly. You don't back the blue when they're wrong. And a lot of these stories in this book are about that. Now, a little history. People need to understand what ICE is, because I have people who call me and say, oh, no, what is ICE? ICE stands for Immigration's Customs Enforcement. Okay, a little walk down memory lane. 25, 30 years ago, right after 9/11. So how many years ago was that? Oh my gosh, 2021. Time flies. Anyways, right after 9/11, George W. Bush, President Bush, and Darth Vader, Dick Cheney, which I can't stand either one of them. To me, they're war criminals. Because of the 9/11 incident, they decided to combine a bunch of agencies under what's now called the Department of Homeland Security. Before this happened, ICE was two separate agencies. Immigrations, which is a very different job from drug enforcement, the type of enforcement that Customs does normally. Back then, you had the uniformed immigration officers. That's the one at the border who, the dogs run around your car and everything. And then you had immigration special agents that actually did criminal investigations on, like, child kidnapping, that type of thing. Sex, importation of sex crimes. That they did the actual investigations and took them in front of the grand juries and stuff. Okay, that was immigrations. It was all about people enforcement. If at the border a customs officer stopped a car and it was drugs, then the immigrations officer will wave the customs official over. Customs back then, United States Customs Service, again, was like two different agencies. It's kind of like a local police department has the uniform division, and then you have the non-uniform detective division, the investigators. The United States Customs was made that way. Customs enforcement primarily stemmed around narcotics, importation of narcotics, money laundering, that type of thing. When I was with that agency, United States Customs Service, I was a special agent with the United States Customs Service. We did no immigration enforcement at all. We were my whole career with Customs was as a special agent on different narcotics task forces and money laundering task forces, and a lot of that is what is in my first book, Bordergate. And please read it. But what this book is about is we had very corrupt managers high up in our agency, and they literally facilitated the entry of 25 to 40 tons of narcotics that were uninspected by anyone. And myself and my task force, we blew the whistle on that. And what happened after that was just a whole whistleblower story that ended up in front of the United States, testifying in front of the United States Congress. That's this book. This book, while no one's watching, is about Kentucky. It's about, not all of it, but public officials who are either corrupt or something going on, and law enforcement. And it's about, missing evidence and everything else. So, why am I saying that? Because those of you, I'm about to defend the ICE agent. And for those of you who think that, well, she's just some right-wing nut job that, defends the cops, literally, I've written 2 books doing the opposite, trying to hold police officers and public officials accountable. So you cannot put me in that box, okay? That being said, that's kind of the history of customs enforcement. Back to the history lesson. When these agencies were first combined, immigrations was under a different agency. United States Customs Service was under Department of Treasury. We were lumped in with ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and IRS. We were all the federal agents that did the criminal investigations. Plainclothes detectives, basically. That's what we did. The immigrations people only did immigration work. They only investigated illegal immigrations, illegal immigrants. Then Bush and Cheney decided to throw all of these into one agency under Department of Homeland Security called ICE, Immigrations Customs Enforcement. That was one of the biggest Charlie Fox trots ever. Foo bars, and for those of you ex-military and cops, you know what I'm talking about. It was just a mess. All of a sudden, immigration officers who had no narcotics training experience, or very little, they probably had some, just did not have the right experience to be going out and doing drug cases. Conversely, U.S. Customs special agents who did a whole career doing money laundering cases and doing, narcotics cases had no real immigration experience. If we went in on a warrant, because I've done that before, we went on a big warehouse one time. I think it was a narcotics case, and here's all these young kids. It was, girls, and sewing machines. It was, it was slavery is what it was. And, it was shocking. It was horrible. But our investigation stopped right there. We had to call in Department of Immigrations. They came in and did that part of the case. So to all of a sudden combine these 2 agencies and say, okay, Customs go do immigrations work, and immigration people go do, poof, you're doing each other's jobs. It was crazy, and it was a mess. So that's how this kind of got started. Now, what I'm hoping, this is years later now, I am hoping that, one would hope that the ICE officers involved in today, Wednesday's shooting, and ICE officers in general now are well trained and versed in immigration training, what not to do, what to do. I would hope, one would think. So, what we're going to do now, well, first, let me just say this. The reason I decided to do a show on this is I got a call from a friend out in California. My girlfriend, I love her to death. She's pretty liberal. She knows all about my history and my book and everything. And she called me up and said, so, are you going to cover this? Are you going to cover your former agency murdering this girl? And I said, what are you talking about? She goes, and I'm like, I haven't seen it yet. Time difference and stuff. And she says, yeah, you gotta go watch this. So I go and watch it, and I gotta say, this is Wednesday morning, early morning. I'm half asleep, whatever, just drinking my first cup of coffee. I walk in there, and my husband's got this on the news and everything, and he's like, yeah, and he goes, yeah, and your agency's at it again or whatever. So I go there and watch. Now keep in mind, I walked over to that television with the jaundiced eye, with an eye of what has my corrupt former agency done now. So if anything, I was jaundiced towards believing that, yeah, I would believe anything out of the Customs Service. Okay, so I walked over there and I watched the television. Okay, my first time I watched this, I'm like, oh my God, that guy just murdered that girl. At first glance, when you first watch this, in real time, and then my husband goes, no, you're not watching it. So he wind it back. So he did it again, wind it back. And I didn't catch it at first. Human beings, we are, our brains are wired to watch movement first, okay? So when you watch this, first off, get off your cell phones. You really can't see this on a cell phone. Because I missed it at first on a good-sized television screen, okay? It took me a couple times to watch, 3 times. On the third time I got it. What you're seeing at first, you see the car, and you see the immigration, the ICE officer yelling at her, get out of the car, get out of the car. She's not getting out of the car. So then he approaches her, and he's reaching in with his hand to grab the door. That's where your eyes are trained. That's normal. Your eyes are trained on what's movement, what's in front of you. What you don't see right away is what is directly in front of the vehicle is another agent. You really can't see that agent at first because this ICE agent is actually blocking your view, the first ICE agent. Okay? And your brain is concentrating on you're seeing the movement. Okay? So I didn't see it. So I backed it up. He's like, no, watch it again. And so I watched it again. I didn't see it the second time either. And I'm like, give me that remote. So when I took the remote, and then you slow it way down and you just step by step, you know what I mean? Frame by frame. All of a sudden you realize, oh, there's a guy in front of the vehicle. Okay. And I'm telling you, here's what I think's happening. Especially a lot of young people. They're addicted to their phone. A lot of young people do not watch television anymore. Everything's on your phone. You cannot see this on your phone. You just can't. You can't make out the details. You really cannot see this watching the video. And there's 2 of them now. There's a front, a back view, kind of back side view, and there's a rear view now too. That's even clearer. Okay, so that kind of stepped me back. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There is a guy there. So, and if you watch it 2 or 3 times on a good size screen and slow it down, what you will see plainly, and and I'm assuming this has not been doctored or anything. Okay, I personally cannot tell you that what you're seeing on CNN, ABC, CBS has not been somehow altered. Hopefully somebody would have blew the whistle on that by now. Okay, so assuming that this tape has not been altered and what you're seeing is for sure real, what you will see is, for whatever reason, and I'm not going to get in an argument, why was she there? She shouldn't have been there in the first place. But I will say this. If a federal agent is in the process of doing a federal investigation, if you're in the process of doing your job, and someone is impeding your job, like they, the argument is, the other side will say no. Okay, but what the cops are saying is, she wouldn't move. She's in our way. She wouldn't move. We needed her to move. And you can see on the video, he's telling her, get out, move. Or they tried to get her to move, and then he's telling her, get out of the car. Because they were going to arrest her. Okay? So the question is, I know this is a sad, sad thing. It is. That this young girl, and she's a mother, this horrible thing that she lost her life. But to say that this just happened for no reason, because that's a lot of what you're seeing on the news. This happened for no reason. No. There was a reason this happened. She absolutely, obstructed the cops, whether the cops should have been there or not. Whether the cops should have been there or not, I'm not going to argue that, all right? The cops were there. They were in the process of their duty. Those cops were doing what they were told. They were given a job. They went there to do that job. Whether you agree with them being there or not, I'm not going to argue that. To me, at this point, it's irrelevant. I'm arguing the fact of, is this a criminal case against an ICE agent that murdered somebody? That's to me, this is the argument today, all right? What I saw clearly, and I've watched it over and over again, all angles, what I can clearly see, and again, I am not pro customs. I mean, folks, I literally took them to federal court and sued them, okay? So, not pro ICE, not pro U.S. Customs Service, okay? But the fact remains is these police officers were in the process of doing their job. They were doing what they were told. This woman, for whatever reason, right, wrong, or indifferent, was refusing to get out of their way. She was impeding their job. You can see that. They ordered her first to leave. She wouldn't go. Then they ordered her out of the car. She would not get out of the car. Then what you will see, and don't let your eyes trick you at first like mine did, you're going to see an ICE agent yelling at her, going for the driver's side door, like he's going to grab the door and yank her out. Okay, because that's probably what he was going to do. Okay, he goes for the door. Then you're going to see the vehicle lunge backward, and then you're going to see the vehicle lunge forward. Okay, now, as she lunges forward, there is another ICE agent right in front of that car. Now, let me say this about the ICE agent standing directly in front of a car. All my training and experience, and I have a lot of it, will tell you, don't stand right in front of a vehicle when somebody's agitated because they may floor it and come at you. Was that the smartest decision for that ICE agent to be standing directly in front of that vehicle, using his body to block her? No. No training anywhere, and I've been through a whole lot of it, ever tells you to do that. Should he have been there? No. He should have had better sense and not be standing right in front of that vehicle. You don't use your body as a blockade to a vehicle. Okay, so he should not have been doing that. However, when she lunged that car towards him, and she did strike him. Now, let's talk about a lot of the talk that's out there, and I'm going to get into the media in a minute, and we're going to cut away to these videos, and then we're going to come back, okay, and talk about it. So you're going to see these videos again. Okay, when she moves forward and hits this ICE agent, okay, Trump came out, and this is the thing about complete left-wingers. Oh, she was murdered, or, they had no business there. And then the right-wingers, she ran him over violently, and no, she didn't run him over violently either. When both sides in the media, I'm going to talk about the media now, when you just say things that aren't correct and aren't true because you're trying to sell either a right-wing agenda or a left-wing agenda. This is why I call it the corporate-owned media, because that's what they are, mainstream media. We need to call them the corporate-owned media. This is what's happening in the media. And this is why podcasters like me, my brother over there in London, Crime with Bobby, he's doing a great job over there. Elizabeth, Hillbilly Crime, if you get a chance, she's covering the Mickey Steins. That's the sheriff shooting the judge. She's doing a great job over there. This is why podcasters are gaining ground. And like the podcaster up there who just... he went in and he found it. He did the investigative reporting of the billions of dollars of, people ripping us off, the Somalis ripping us off, your tax dollars off, okay? When the left starts doing things like News Nation did, and I want to talk about this, and again, stay with me, you're going to get to see the videos again. News Nation, I was so disappointed in them this morning, and I was so pissed off, sorry for my language, because, I had started really watching them and grown to like them because they were trying to stay in the middle. They didn't seem to be pushing a left-wing agenda or a right-wing agenda. They seemed to be pretty accurate until this morning. The female newscaster this morning, and this is why one of the reasons I'm doing this show today on this. What she did was she showed the video of the vehicle, the ICE agent going to the vehicle and just lurching back at first, and then stopped the video and played the sound of the gunfire and stopped the video. Did not show the video of the car lurching forward and hitting the ICE agent. Just left that out. And then said, the ICE agents murdered this woman this morning. Well, if you just saw that, if that's what you saw, and shame on News Nation, because I thought they were better than that, for doing that. Shame on that, if that's all you saw, if that's all I saw, I would have said the same thing. And had my husband not been smart enough to say, no, you're not looking good enough, had I not listened to my very smart husband, and really watched that, like for the third time, my first indication, I thought the ICE agent reaching for the door, that was the shooter. And that's what and I'm getting calls about this. That's why we're doing the show. A lot of people, that's what they're seeing. They're not seeing that ICE agent right in front of the car. And a lot of it's because they're on their phone. And because, again, for human beings, we're trained to do that. You watch movement, If I'm staring at a forest and I see all these trees and everything, you sit there and stare. The minute something moves, your eyes are going to go to the movement. And that's what people, I think, are doing on their cell phones. Get off your cell phone, rewatch this several times, like I did, on a bigger screen. And you will see what I see. And what I see, not just from the back view, but also the front, the main view, the big picture. But there's another view now from more of a distance from the back. You can really see it there where she lurches forward and hits the ICE agent. Granted, she doesn't violently run over top of him like the right-wingers are saying. And that's where, again, Fox News, and Donald Trump, I forget how he worded it exactly. I mean, when you say things like that and then people see, well, he ain't run over, he's still walking. I mean, he's limping a little, but he's not run over. And it's hard to even see that. You lose credibility. So that's the gist of this. And it just really bothers me a lot when the media, instead of just running the video, slowing it down, and just letting the facts stand as they are, what's happening is the media is both the left and the right are stirring this up. And it's just crazy. And it's dangerous. This is dangerous. When News Nation, that broadcaster did that, that's throwing gasoline on a fire that's already lit. That was crazy. It was unprofessional. And we try really hard not to do anything like that here. And the most podcasters I know that are professional, they do that. We're going to break away now, and we're going to let you watch this video. Again, let me reiterate. Get off your phones, put this on a big screen, watch both aspects of this, and I'm confident you will see what I saw, and that is the ICE officer approaches the vehicle. He's ordering her out. He reaches for the vehicle. The one reaching for the driver's side vehicle is not the shooter. There's another ICE agent standing directly in front of the vehicle. She lurches back a little bit and then lurches forward into that ICE agent. Okay, she doesn't run him over, but she does hit him. And let me just say, let me reiterate this before we go to that. When you run a vehicle at a cop, whether you mean to hit him or not, in your mind you could be thinking, I'm just gonna get out of here. He'll move, right? That ICE agent is thinking that's no different because that's your training. Let me get into that before we break away, Michael. I'm sorry. Let me get into the training. Okay, I've been through a lot of it. I was with the military. I was a captain in the U.S. Army Military Police Corps, investigator, and then from there I was a special agent. Again, with the United States Customs Service, but I served on numerous DEA and money laundering task forces. Okay, I did a lot of high-risk warrant entries, a lot of this stuff. Okay, you are trained at these academies over and over again on shoot, don't shoot scenarios. Okay, what they have in these training sessions are, first off, you have real, aggressive, they reenactments through these academies where you're in different scenarios. And again, let me reiterate, no training ever tells you to stand in front of a vehicle to use your body to blockade, okay? That was a mistake. Anywho, you are trained over and over and over in these scenarios for year after year, recurrent training where you go into these, it's a 3D imaging thing, shoot, don't shoot. And I'm telling you, one of the scenarios always in these is a car's coming at you. What do? Well, you're trained over and over again. And you will resort to your training in a situation, stressful situation, a shooting situation, anything like that. You will resort to your training. That's why they train you, so you don't panic, so you react. You do what your training has taught you to do. No doubt in my mind that officer was taught over and over again, as I was. A vehicle comes at you, that's no different than a bullet coming at you, or if she had a knife in her hand. That vehicle is a deadly weapon. That vehicle can kill you. Therefore, it's no different than perceiving that vehicle, no different than if it was a knife or if it was, a bullet coming out of a gun. That's a deadly weapon. You are trained over and over again to draw your weapon and fire. That's what you're trained to do. You are trained not just to defend yourself, but others. Now, that officer is also trained over and over again. You don't know who's behind him. He doesn't know, is that vehicle going to keep coming and then hit somebody else? You have a responsibility as a federal agent to train, not only defend yourself, but others, innocent people. Once you take over a situation, once those ICE agents took over that situation, they're in control of that situation now. They are absolutely responsible for anybody getting hurt because of their negligence, if they do something wrong. So they are responsible for protection of others as well. That's what your job is as well. You are trained that over and over again. So I have to say, if I was, one of the things I keep seeing that just really makes me sick, people with no law enforcement experience. Well, if I was in that situation, I would do this. If I was in that situation, I would do that. You don't know that. Until you have lived in a high-risk situation like that, you have no idea what you would do. I have lived in high-risk situations, and I'm not positive I would do the right thing either. I would hope that I would have sense enough not to be standing in front of the vehicle, but you don't know what was going on. Maybe he was, maybe he was going to walk on over to the other side. I don't know. You don't know. We don't know why he was standing in front of that vehicle. We don't know why. Should he have been? I would like to think that I would not have been standing in front of that vehicle. But I cannot say that definitively, and neither can you. You're not in those guys' shoes right now. But what I can say definitively, in my humble opinion, is assuming that the videos you're about to watch, again, because I know you've all watched them 100 times, get off your phones, watch them on televisions, okay, a good size screen. Definitively, if any officer is in a situation like that ICE agent was, and a vehicle starts coming at you and lunges at you, you are trained to draw your gun and shoot. You are trained to defend yourself and others. And what I see there is a horrible situation. It's very sad, and I think it's real sad that she was in that situation. But you know what? Nobody else put her in that situation. Again, she was driving. Nobody had a gun to her head in the driver's seat saying, pull up here and stop and block them and don't move. Nobody was forcing this girl to do that, to my knowledge. To my knowledge, nobody was forcing this girl to do that. She put herself in a volatile situation. So for those young people out there listening tonight, the reality of a situation is if you put yourself in a volatile situation, things can go real wrong real quick. And, you have to share responsibility for being, it wasn't like she was just the wrong place, wrong time. It wasn't like she was staying in the line at a football game innocently. Okay? That's not what happened here. So it wasn't for no reason. This was This is not an incident that happened for no reason. And people keep saying that. This happened. There's no reason for this to happen. Well, yeah, there was a reason. She was in her vehicle, blocking the ICE agents from doing their job. When they told her to leave, she didn't. When they went to pull her out of the car, she did what she did. There is a reason for it. Okay? Not, sorry, but there is. And again, not a fan of ICE. or, you know, Watergate, Bordergate. I mean, I literally wrote the book on it. So you can't sit there and say, I'm just a cop lover and everything the cops do is good. I'm not one of those people. Anybody who's watched this show for 15 years will tell you I am not one of those people. Okay, so we're going to cut away to the videos, and we're going to run the videos. And please, I implore you, do not watch these on your phone. You won't see it. Get on a bigger screen, a good screen, and really watch. And watch it several times. Thank you. And
No! No! Oh my God! That's fine, dude. I'm not mad, boy. Show your face. I'm not mad. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Whoa! Good.
okay, we're back. I hope you did what I told you to do. And watch this video on a good size screen. And watch it several times and you will see what I saw. Now, I'm going to flip this scenario just a little bit. Let's say the ICE agent fired his weapon and missed. What if he missed? And then she hit him. Granted, she didn't run him down, but she did hit him. And you know what? You get hit by a car, even a little bit, that's going to hurt, okay? So, let's say she lunged toward him, she hit him, and then went on. But she lived. Okay, we're going to play in the world of pretend right now. Now, I'm the prosecutor. I'm presenting this evidence in front of a grand jury to indict her on attempted murder. I want you to think about that. If I present this evidence, she's still alive, and I present these videos, and I tell you everything that I've just told you, that these ICE agents were there doing their official duties. Whether you agree with what they're doing there or not is irrelevant, okay? We're pretending we're in a murder trial. Or in front of a grand jury. You're the grand jury out there. It's irrelevant why he's there. It's irrelevant why she's there. That's irrelevant at this point. Under any state law, and this would be in federal court because this is a federal agent. Under federal law, you try to assault with a deadly weapon a federal agent, that's attempted murder. Okay, and there's 18 U.S.C. whatever it is, I don't know off the top of my head. What would happen in front of a grand jury is they would present these tapes and they would say, these officers were in the, obviously they were marked. It's not like they look like a bunch of gangbangers out there. These guys were marked. They had, you know, their vest on. They had police. All of them had, clearly, they were marked, obviously, police officers. So she knew that these were uniformed police officers. They were in the process of doing their duty. When they order her to leave and she doesn't, several times, and then they go to remove her from their vehicle so they can get her vehicle out of the way. When her reaction to that was to floor it or lunge forward and hit that officer, whether she hit him hard or not, it's irrelevant. I'm telling you, if you all were sitting in front of a grand jury and she was still alive, and I'm the prosecutor presenting this case, every one of you, or most of you, would vote to indict her for attempted murder. So how is this different? Right? How is this different? It's not. You know, it is a crime when you, first off, if a federal agent orders you to do something, and as long as it is a legal order. I know a lot of you are going to say, well, in your book, while no one's watching, you talk about in London, Kentucky, a bunch of, London police officers went with a warrant, without a warrant. We don't know if there was even a warrant. They went to the wrong address at midnight over a weed eater. How stupid was that? And they basically executed this poor old man. Okay, yeah, I talk about that. And it's going to come down to, were they there legally? And were they in the process of doing their job legally? Did they do it correctly? That's going to wash out. I mean, KSP has finished their investigation. We're waiting to see if it's going to be prosecuted. This is the Doug Harless case in London, Kentucky, and I talk about this in While No One's Watching. Because I know people are going to. I've already got these phone calls. Well, yeah, you talk about this and no one's watching. Okay, that is a very different scenario. That is from the get-go a whole list of negligence they started off with. Okay. It does not appear, as I sit here right now, does not appear that these officers were outside the scope of their employment. It doesn't appear that they were being negligent. It does not appear as though they were doing anything extreme. On all appearances, as we sit here right now, and this is being filmed, today's Thursday, this is actually pre-recorded. So if something happens between Thursday the 8th and Monday, when you're watching this Monday the 8th, then that'll be a different scenario. But as we sit here on Thursday, Monday the 8th, what the facts that are available to us right now, these ICE agents were in the process of their duty, legally there. She was ordered to move. Once you are ordered by a federal agent, you're impeding my investigation, I need you to move. When you refuse to do that, for whatever reason, good, bad, or indifferent, when you refuse an order of a federal agent like that in the process of their duty, you can and will be arrested. I have arrested people. I'll give you a scenario. Myself and another agent were on surveillance. Surveillance driving is unbelievably difficult in a city like Los Angeles. We're in Los Angeles. This is a good scenario, okay? We're driving. When you're driving, you're calling, you're talking on the radio and you're calling it out and everything. And I cut this guy off, not real bad. It's not like I almost caused him a wreck or anything. He had to hit his brakes a little and I cut him off because I was trying to catch up and you don't want to lose the guy you're watching. The bad guys. Your whole idea is to follow the bad guys to where they're going. You can't lose the eye. I had the eye, what's called the eye. I'm calling out on the radio, okay? So I cut this guy off. So this guy goes into road rage. I mean, major road rage. He's like flipping me off. He's like trying to run me off the road, everything else. Another agent takes over the eye and the investigation ensues. Two of my agents behind me see this guy trying to, and let me back up. The difference in this scenario is we are undercover. We are not marked units. We are all in undercover units. Okay, so that's a big difference between what's here. That this woman, this young girl, knew that these were cops. The guy that I cut off that was engaging in road rage, he did not know that we were agents. He just knew I was just this dumb girl that came off. He went into major road rage and literally tried to impede. He was going to burn our investigation. We were following a pretty large load of narcotics, and he was about to burn, because the crooks have counter surveillance. Okay? So here he is creating a huge impediment to this investigation. Finally, I motioned him over to a parking lot. And he goes. And as soon as he gets over there, he's met with, all of a sudden 3 cars with federal agents get out and literally jerked him out of the car and threw him on the ground and arrested him. Okay? That was still legal. That was still legal because whether he knew it or not, he was impeding an investigation. I don't think we pursued any charges or anything. I think he was just grateful to get the hell out of there and not bother us anymore. But that was a legal stop. That was a legal search. For you road ragers out there, keep that in mind. So now that would just suppose that. What if that guy, and even us undercover, when one of our agents got out of the vehicle undercover, what if he had tried to run that agent over? What if he had lurched forward? I'm telling you, I was trained, and our federal agents was trained. They would have pulled their gun and they would have shot him. That's what would have happened. And guess what? It would have been a good shoot because we were in the course of our duties. He was impeding that duty. He went into a total road rage, was trying to run my car off the road because I cut him off just a little bit. That would have been a good shoot. When I say good shoot, I don't mean good. There's no good shooting, okay? That would have been a justified shoot. In this scenario, this young lady knew that these were ICE agents. They knew they were in the process of their duty. And she was, by all appearances, the facts that we have here today, and again, this is being filmed Thursday night at whatever time it is, Thursday night, Thursday the 8th of January. By all appearances at this point, she knew these were ICE agents. She knew they were in the process of her duties, and she was purposefully not moving her car out of their way, for lack of a better term. So, that is my 2 cents on this. I will not, unless whoever goes on the comments section of this, if you start, hate shooting back and forth with people and everything, don't do that. But I welcome opinions, but be professional in your opinion. Everybody's got an opinion. If you differ with me in my opinion, fine. Let me hear it. Just don't. Here's what I don't want to have happen, because it's already kind of happening on Facebook and everywhere else, is people are getting on there, he murdered, and then the comments start fighting with each other. Please let's not do that, because what I'll do is I'll just take it down. But I'm open and willing to listen to people's opinions. Please go on and comment. No, I think this was not a justifiable shooting, and here's why. Here's what I saw. What would you do different? Let me put it that way. Here's what I challenge you all to do. You pretend that you're that ICE agent. You're standing in front of that vehicle. Granted, again, I'm telling you, I'm saying that he probably should not have been standing in front of that vehicle. Okay, probably. We don't know what was in his mind, why he was there. Okay, but you're the ICE agent. You're standing in front of the vehicle. What would you do different? And let me flip the coin even more for my friends in California who are dogging me now. I know as I'm saying this, they're dogging me for taking up for the ICE agent. What if this was your son? I want you to think about that for a minute. A lot of people my age, you have grandkids and kids that are about this ICE agent. By the way, I almost forgot this. This ICE agent was, somebody's putting on there, he's a rookie, whatever. No, this ICE agent had 10 years of experience. They released his name. I'm not going to do that. It's not about his name. This guy was an experienced ICE agent. Okay, so he had a lot of training and experience. Okay, and yes, again, maybe you shouldn't be standing in front of a car. I don't know. Maybe there was a good reason he was there. I don't know. You don't know. But I want you to think about this. What if that was your son? And I ask you, what would you do? What would you do different? And with that, I'm losing my voice. Sorry about that. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to your opinions. Please be professional in your comments, and please don't get on there and argue with each other. Nobody gains anything from that. Just be respectful. Tell us your opinion, and what would you do different? And what would you do different if you're the poor girl in the car? And again, I don't want to sound like my heart isn't breaking for that girl, because I got a granddaughter. I got granddaughters too. And the thought of somebody shooting my granddaughter, it's heart-wrenching. This is a horrible thing that happened, okay? But this was a perfect storm of just things that, if she had just done one thing different, okay? If you want to protest, fine. I've protested. I'm pretty liberal. Ask people who know me. I've gone out and stood up with signs and protested. Just recently, this stupid super duck they're trying to bring in here. I've held up signs down there right in front of in front of T-Deck people protesting. But there's a way to protest, There is a legal way to protest. And interfering with a police investigation is not a legal way to protest. There's a good way, there's a right way to do something, and there's a wrong way to do something. And had she just been standing there on the road with other protesters or something, holding up a sign, you got to think, she'd still be alive. So, we can all pick this apart a lot. This is just my 2 cents worth. I felt compelled to bring this forward, mostly because of the media, and what the media has done with this is really, we've got to start holding the media, the corporate media, accountable. And again, I have been a fan of News Nation. That was my new show that I thought, wow, finally somebody's not crazy left and crazy right. They're trying to be accurate here. I'm a big Cuomo fan, but I'm telling you, when that woman went on there this morning and showed just the beginning of that, and just her backing up, and then stopped it, but you could hear the gunfire. It made it look like, it made you think that the guy reaching for the door was the shooter, because you don't even see the guy, when she goes forward and hits him. That is the epitome of unprofessional. And this speaks volumes as to our corporate-owned agenda, right-wing, left-wing agenda media that's going on today. And this is a lot of reason why I do this show, Truth or Politics. Nobody owns us. Nobody's telling us what to do. Nobody's telling me what I can't cover. Same thing with crime. If you get a chance, my buddy over here, Crime with Bobby, go online and watch what's going on in London, Kentucky. He's doing a great job over there. Young guy. I mean, he's killing it. Elizabeth over in Letcher County. Hillbilly Crime. She's a doll. She's just doing such a good job over there. This is a young single mom trying to do what I'm doing. And she's doing a great job. The podcasters, this is why people are coming to podcasters, is news that does unprofessional things like what I saw this morning. And this is why I did this show, because I just felt compelled to bring a different view to it. Anyway, again, thank you very much. I hope I didn't go over an hour. Thank you very much. And again, I want to thank MBR TV. I want to thank our listeners and watchers. And we will see you. Oh, I almost forgot. The debates. I should have had the debate schedule with me. We have posted the debate schedule for the folks in McCreary County, Kentucky, because we're all over the place now. But in McCreary County, Truth or Politics does the primary debates. So we will start the primary debates at the end of this month. I have posted those dates and who's going to be there. Please, 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 all you folks, show up to the debates. It is free. Audience can come and watch. I've posted the address. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. And all you got to do is go to Truth or Politics Facebook pages and see that, or our website, or on our YouTube channel. And please follow the debates. Thank you. We'll see you next time on Truth or Politics.